So $1 billion coming due, a little bit less, 986 billion, but 1 billion basically. And then at 1.2, where are they going to come up with this money?
That's a good question. And you wouldn't think it's a lot of money because it's only $1 billion, but they haven't made about $500 million in payments that were due earlier this month alone. And so the question is, have they been saving that money so they can make this payment that's due? The thing that's important about the payment that's due on Friday is that there's no grace period because it's an amortization payment. So the other ones had a grace period, and they've been using the grace periods for the other payments, but they don't have that shot with this one. And there's a lot of speculation about what's holding up the payments. Is it because they don't have any money? Is it because there are sanctions on the country, so maybe there's a delay in the banking system? They have to convert their money into dollars, and perhaps banks are being tripped up on that. Whatever it is, everyone is hoping that they figured it out for these payments, because if they haven't, they can trip the wire for credit default swaps, and potentially, if there are some eager investors out there who want to create a commotion and accelerate their payments, they can really trigger, a serious crisis.
But for the Maduro regime, which has a lot of troubles right now, as the Venezuelan people do, what are the practical consequences? I mean, are they in the international capital markets anyway? It's not like they're borrowing a lot of money, are they?
No, they're not. They're not. So right now, they can't borrow money because of sanctions, and even if they wanted to, the yields are prohibitively high. But what it means is it would be basically a shutdown potentially on production for oil. Of course, they depend on oil. And there have been studies that show that when a country's in default, the price of the barrel of their oil falls significantly. So it could impact them that way. But also there's the fact that if they did trip the wire, and they couldn't enter into restructuring or talks because of the sanctions right now. So it would just be this moratorium until potentially a regime change. I mean, there's a lot of question marks on how exactly this would go down. It's pretty unprecedented. But basically, there could just be a mass chaos for investors.